Hey there. Today we're going to do the full Beyond the Basics on our new Edge 1050 GPS cycling computer. We're going to get this all set up for your liking for your first ride. So we're going to start off with what do you get in the box. So you'll get your Edge, you'll get an out front mount, you'll get a standard mount, a tether, a charging cable, and some documentation. We are going to skip that whole process today and we're just going to jump in and get this started. So go ahead and turn it on with the left button here. You're gonna push and hold that for about a second. You're gonna see a Garmin logo pop up on the screen, and then you're gonna get a language selection. We're gonna go ahead and select English here. And now you're gonna get a QR code. We've simplified the pairing process for this and getting this all set up. So now you can just take your phone, go ahead and scan the QR code, and you'll be able to start this setup process. As we go ahead and scan this QR code, we wanna make sure you already have the Garmin Connect mobile app downloaded and logged in on your phone, and that will allow us to start this pairing process. So we're gonna go ahead and select Connect It. Then we're gonna get a pairing pin on screen. We wanna verify this is the same pin you're seeing on your Edge. Traditionally, it will. This is just more if you have a couple in the same area. And then we're gonna go ahead and complete the setup process here. I'm gonna allow notifications. That way, when I'm riding, I can get different alerts there. Go ahead and select Next. And this is a really cool part of the setup process here where we allow you to use your existing sensors. This just makes it way easier when you get set up. If you don't have any existing sensors, go ahead and select Skip. But for existing customers, this is really a nice feature. And then you're gonna get the option here to take some setups from your different activity profiles from a previous device. So I have a couple devices listed here. I'm gonna go ahead and use the Edge 1040 Solar as the device here I want to pull some of my activity profiles from, and we'll describe this a little bit more here in depth as we move forward. If you're a new customer, go ahead and select Skip or continue through this setup process and it'll prompt you on what you need to do. So here we go, activity profiles are transferred, and that makes this setup process super easy. I will go through the full process for you here as a new customer, but this should get you started if you're a Garmin user already. So here's a little bit of a tutorial if you want to learn how this works. We're going to go ahead and do that all live on video, so select Skip. All right, syncing in process. We can get the option here to do Wi-Fi. That'll allow you to add a network. And that just makes it super easy. When you're finished your ride, you can go ahead and walk into your establishment or your home or whatever it may be, and it'll sync right away for you without having to use your phone. Traditionally, the phone works really well. So you can go ahead and select a network if you'd like. Today, we're gonna skip that process, and we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the Edge to get this finished setting up. So syncing is in process. Syncing with the phone is now complete. Perfect. We'll select Continue. Again, we're gonna skip the Wi-Fi setup process right now, but go ahead and add your home Wi-Fi. It makes this syncing process after a ride really seamless. Sensors you'd like to connect. We are gonna skip this again as right now because we already have all of our sensors added from the previous pairing process. But if there are additional sensors you would like to add, now is a great time. But again, you can do this at a later date quite easily. Activity profiles. We're gonna go through this again in a second here, so we're gonna skip a couple of these different options here. So scroll down, select Continue there, and then want to learn more about your Edge, we're gonna do that. Let's go ahead and do that right now. So when you first power on the device, after you go through the pairing process, this is your default new menu home screen. We got quite a few different things here, so let me go ahead and break this down for you. So we're gonna start off at the top here. We have all your different activity profiles. We can customize these, adjust these. I have a couple different fun names in here that you can add. Indoor profile. This is my race profile. I did this for Unbound this year. Gravel, road, and this helps with some of the routing, different pavement types, things in that nature. We'll discuss that a little bit more here. The first thing you'll see as well is a recommended activity, a daily suggested workout. And so this is to help you gain fitness or maintain your fitness. A lot of your wearables, if you're wearing a Garmin wearable as well, will help tailor these workouts to make them more accurate and take in some of your health metrics and some of the other things that are going on with you personally. If you're just using this as a bike computer, it'll take this off your previous activities. So then we can go ahead, scroll down here, and this is where we get all of our widgets. This is a breakdown of all of the different pieces of information that you'd want to see at a glance. So we can start with the compass, training calendar, group rides, history of your rides, any missed notification, the weather. Some of this is pulled from your phone, some of this is pulled from a wearable, but the majority of this will just come from your Edge here. So if we want to go ahead and customize this, we can scroll down to the bottom, click the pencil, and then we can see all of our different glances here. If you want to reorder them, it's really easy. Put GroupRide at the bottom, and then maybe we want to see our training calendar as the first option here. We can click the plus icon, and this gives us a ton of different options here. Some of these get really cool, and we'll go through some of the different options here. Some of the main ones I like to see is my cycling ability, my training status, my VO2 max, my load focus is really interesting. And then some of the other ones here, if you want to go ahead and add those. A lot of people will be doing different events, so you can add in your event here, and that will change your daily suggested workouts to make them more specific around the event you're going to be doing. So a couple different options here. Add those as you would like to see fit. Customize them as you would like to see. So if you want to see your training status right at the top, how's that training going? We can go ahead and see that. Now when we go back, we have all of our info here. So now we can see training status as the #1 option here. Today's a good day, I'm peaking. VO2 max. And so you can go in and see a lot of the different information here. Some of this is pretty cool, so I can kind of give you a quick rundown of this. So peaking is your general status, so this is going to tell you at what point in the training process are you. Is this a good day to go hard? Maybe take it back. And again, those daily suggested workouts will work with this as well. You can see your VO2 max and your load and how that's adjusted over the last little bit. You can see I'm on a little bit of a rest period right now. Last 7 days. Some of the breakdown, my load focus, so you can see the different breakdown of how I've been training recently. This is a really fun page, cycling ability. So this kind of tells you what type of cyclist you are and will adjust based upon the type of workouts you're doing. There's an analysis here if you want to go into it. In the analysis, you can also find courses that meet or can help you grow in some of these different areas. And then we have heat acclimation. Probably need to get outside a little bit more in the heat. And altitude acclimation. As we continue to scroll down here, we have our training calendar. This is great to see some of the upcoming workouts that we have on the list. We can schedule specific workouts. We can do a power guide. We'll describe what a power guide is here a little bit more in depth. And then some of the other things here are kind of interesting to go into. Cycling ability, VO2 max, acute load, load focus. We just looked at all of that. They're in that deeper widget glance. Now that we're back at the menu screen, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the different options we can go play around with. One of the biggest things for cyclists is courses. We wanna have good courses, we want them to be easy to find, and we've done a couple things here to make courses a lot simpler on the 1050. So go ahead and select navigation and courses. So right now, obviously no courses are saved, this is a brand new device, but we can go ahead and we actually created a new course creator on device that's a lot simpler to use. So we're gonna go ahead and select course creator, use from current location, which is Garmin's headquarters, and then we can tap the map where we want some of these next course points to be. So we're gonna go ahead and just make a pretty simple course today. Go ahead, plus, navigate down, and then let's just do a loop, kind of back up here. Most likely your course is gonna be a little bit more in depth than this one is. But this is just an example of how this would work. Super simple, super easy to be able to do on device. You can import courses still. You can still do this from your mobile phone or desktop, but this is a really easy way to create a simple, quick course on your device now. Go ahead and click save. We'll just call it course 000. There we go. And now we have a ride down and back from Garmin's headquarters. We can go ahead and select ride, and it'll start right there for you. It'll load the ride up. We'll be good to go. Let's go ahead and go back to the home screen here. Now, if we take our phone and we go ahead and sync a new course over, let me go ahead and do this real quick. So we open up the Garmin Connect mobile app, home, let's go into training and planning, courses, and let's go ahead and send our Bend cycling route over to the 1050. So go ahead in here, we see it connected on our list, ready to roll. Give it about a couple seconds here, should sync on over to the 1050. There we go. And now, in this swipeable widget page here, we can see our daily suggested workout, and we can see that recently added course. You'll be able to see a couple different things here as that populates. Really nice. You'll also be able to see your last activity, but I really love this course feature. It makes it super easy to find that last course you added versus having to dig through that list. One of the other things that we made it really easy, if you're somebody like me that likes to have a lot of courses on your device, we've added some abilities here to make it easier to find what course you're looking for. You can go by the date added, the distance, proximity to where you are, a couple different options here to make that easier, and we've even added a search option. Right now that's not super helpful because we have two courses, But I think before I reset this, I had like 50 plus courses, and so being able to sort those really easily really helps. We've had some other ways here to navigate, so you can do recent finds, categories. You can search different points of interest as well. So it's a lot easier to be able to navigate on this device, and we've just kind of cleaned up some of that UI to make it a better experience for you. All right, into the training tab here. The training tab we talked about a little bit earlier on. This is where you're gonna see a lot of that training specific information. It's gonna be very similar to that calendar page. You'll have your next couple of daily suggested workouts, power guide. You can do this on a trainer. You can race activities, all available right in there. Now let's go ahead into some of the meat and potatoes here. How do you customize an activity profile? It's probably one of the biggest questions we get. So we can go ahead here. We wanna click the menu button, activity profiles, and then we'll get a list of our activity profiles here. We'll go ahead and select gravel, and then this is where you can really go in. You can go in, you can rename it, so if you want to have a fun name for your different profiles, you totally can. And then if you want to go ahead and do some deep customization, you can do that as well here. It's also available on your phone, so if you want to go ahead and do this on your phone, you can do that and see it live update. We can walk through that here in just a minute. So let's go ahead, start with data screens. So you can see now, this is a totally new screen. Makes it really easy to see what you're looking at, what you want to adjust, and there's even some little helpful tips there to make this easy. We will discuss what some of these different data screens are here in just a second, but let's go through the add process. If you want to add something for yourself, customize it, let's see what that looks like. Click add. Now we get a couple different options here. Let's just do a normal data screen. We'll hit popular, and we want to see some of the different pieces of information here. So I want to see my distance. I want to see my total elapsed time. I like to see the time of day. I want to see my average speed, my current heart rate, my average heart rate, and let's see, 3-second power and average power. We can go up to 10 fields, which is definitely possible. I'm going to stick with just 8 for now, and we can see how that's all laid out. So we can go ahead and select the check mark up here, and we can see how that is laid out. And a couple different options for how we want that to look. We can add more data fields, less data fields. Personally, I like this first one. Let's go ahead and select that. Check mark again in the top hand corner. And now we can double tap and we can adjust here. So for example, I want to see my elapsed time at the top, and I want my averages on the right, my normal ones on the left. So that all looks good to me. We'll go ahead and select that. Now that we have the data screens set up the way we want them to be set up, and again, you can customize them however you would like, we're gonna go ahead and look at some of the other settings in your activity profile that you can customize. So starting off here, we have climbs and segments. So segments are gonna be either Strava segments or Garmin Connect segments. If you want live segments, you do have to be subscribed to the premium Strava. Climbs is really cool. This is our Climb Pro feature. This allows you to see a better breakdown of the climb that you're gonna be approaching. This can be done through a course, or we've added recently the ability to do this without courses. That's a great feature, so if you're just riding around, you can see what climbs are coming up and what you're about to get into, and if you need to make a quick deviation from your course, or if you're ready to tackle that challenge. Let's go ahead, alerts and prompts. So this is really cool here. One of the new alerts and prompts that you're gonna see here under the safety tabs is road hazard warnings. Road hazard warnings are something that now you can add from the map screen. We'll look at it here a little bit more in depth, but it's really cool to be able to see what hazards are coming up on the road. That could be dogs, potholes, and various other things. Again, we'll describe that a little bit more when we get to the map screen. I'll show you what that looks like. During an activity, one of my favorite features here at prompts is gonna be your eat and drink alerts. This is something that I really recommend specifically to newer riders, people that maybe don't know their body quite as well, but even veteran riders or people going a long distance. It's really helpful for me during those long rides to get a prompt to say, hey, eat, drink. Make sure you're fueling yourself so that way you can perform at the level you want to perform at. It's a great reminder. It's not really obtrusive, and it's just a really nice and easy, quick hit to say, hey, make sure you're fueling yourself on those longer rides. There is the ability to track your own nutrition. Here you have hydration and nutrition tracking. That does have to be manually inputted, but you can go ahead and add that in here if you'd like. One of the features that I really enjoy here is the mountain bike metrics that we've added. So there's grit, flow, and jump score. So the grit and flow is going to tell you how difficult the track is and how well you're moving through that trail system. The jump score is just a ton of fun. That's gonna give you your speed and distance and an overall score for each jump. It's fun to go out and just hit a couple jumps with buddies and see who's going the furthest. Now, satellite systems, this is a really cool feature here to help get the most out of the edge itself. So you can change the level of accuracy and battery life that you're gonna be getting out of the systems that you're selecting. So you can select the most accurate. That's gonna be really great for heavily wooded areas, a lot of over trees covering the trail or covering the roads that you're riding in. And then best battery life is gonna be great for those open settings. We have an auto select feature, so the edge will adjust based upon the environments you're riding in to give you the best GPS signal and the best battery life. So that's the one I traditionally like to leave it on. It's kind of the best of both worlds, but you can go in and select whatever one suits your riding the best. And so now that we've been editing the gravel profile, we're actually gonna go ahead and select apply. That's gonna switch that profile from mountain to gravel, and then we're gonna go ahead and go out for a gravel ride. So you can go ahead, customize any of these the way you would like. Again, I have my mountain bike one set up a little bit different, my road riding a little bit different from my gravel, and then the unbound one there is just my race profile and a couple different settings there. Something like auto pause is turned off, for example. So a couple different features in here. If you wanted to go ahead and dive into your history of your activities, you can do that. You can see some of your stats here. We have safety and tracking. This is a really great tab. Incident detection is something I highly recommend using. You will need the Garmin Connect mobile app, and you will have to go in there and set a couple different things up on the app side of things. But this will send out a warning if you do get in an incident to select users to make sure they can see what is happening out there on the road or in the trail. You can get guest assistance, emergency contacts. Live track is really great, so you can send out a live track so people can see. I use this with my wife, and so she can see where I'm out riding just to make sure I'm okay out there. So we'll go back here. A couple different options here if you want to dive into this. You totally can. But for the meat and potatoes here, we're going to skip over the rest of those features. Now that we have our activity profile set up kind of the way we want it to, I want to talk about the power guide and some of the different features within that. So we have our course that we already added in there. So let's go ahead and select our course. We can go ahead and then we're going to click the three little dots at the top here, and we're going to click Create Power Guide. And we'll keep the same title there. This is what a power guide is. It's going to give you a course and then a general power profile and a breakdown of each section of that course and what power you should be riding at to maintain a certain speed. This really helps you during races or some of those longer activities when you have the tendency, or I have the tendency, to go out too hard and blow up. This allows you to kind of measure your effort a little bit better to make sure that you can perform at your optimum proficiency throughout the whole activity. So we start off here, we select our riding position. Let's just select lowered here. We're gonna be doing this on a gravel bike. So here's our course, the average watts we're gonna be doing, and then we can change our effort here. So let's say we're gonna want this to be a little bit harder. We can slide that up, and now it changes our average watts up. Let's go ahead and make that a lot easier. And then it'll adjust everything down. It'll also adjust the time it expects you to be able to do this in, your FTP settings in there, the overall weight of your bike. It considers wind and stamina and some other things in there. Then you can actually see a breakdown of all those splits, so it takes the different parts of the course, breaks them down based upon grade, and gives you a general idea of how many watts you should be riding at. It does this for the entire course. So go ahead. And yep, that seems like what we want to be able to do. So we're going to go ahead and select ride. We're going to replace our current route that we had set up, the one that we created earlier in the video. And there we go. This is our power guide screen. So again, this is, we will not navigate to the beginning of the course. And so you'd be seeing this here. So again, we created some of these activity profiles. There's a bunch of mountain biking on this course. So let's go ahead and select mountain. And then the power guide is all going to sync up there as a part of this activity profile. So let's go through this activity profile now. We'll describe kind of what we're seeing here, what some of these different screens are. Yeah, break it down. So here's our map. I added one data field to the map with heart rate. That's just helpful for me to generally gauge my effort when I'm out riding. Most of the time, I'm probably sitting on this map screen, specifically mountain biking, to make sure I'm hitting the right turns I want to be hitting. Total ascent. So this is a general climb screen. Compass. Heart rate screen. This is a general power. And then here's some of the climbs that we're going to be dealing with. You can see this course has 9 climbs associated with it, and then you can see at the top here where that climb is on the course. Stamina. Stamina is a general guide. There's more information out there on stamina if you really want to know how all this works, but it's a general guide of how much fuel you have left in the tank when you're out there doing your activity. Here's that power guide we just created, so you'll be able to see here your 3-second power, what the guide recommends, and what your actual split time is, and this will continue to update as you go throughout the course. Your guide average, your personal average. You can change all these data fields here, so push and hold. And if you want to change what that is, push and hold, tap on it again, and then you can change this to something else. Let's go in and change this to time of day. If you want to go ahead and change the power guide screen, you can swipe up from the bottom and you can change some of that effort level, and you can change if it considers wind or not. So one of the other things that we wanted to chat about here was on this map screen. If you go ahead and tap, you can see some different options here. We've added a bell. It's louder than I expected it to be, I'm not gonna lie. The hazards, so this is where you can go in and report some of those hazards, slippery, obstructions, animals, pothole, or just a general hazard. You go ahead and select that. That'll place that on the road and allow you to report it there. You can let it time out or select report. And then with your phone paired to the Garmin Connect mobile app, this will update in pretty close to real time and give you updates of, okay, the pothole is no longer there or it is, and keeps that up to date while you're actually on your ride. So if you go ahead and mark this and you have people, a couple hundred riders back behind you on maybe a big ride or something along those lines, they'll be able to see that update as they kind of continue through that course. So something really cool, pretty dynamic that we've added there. Tapping on that screen just allows you to get back also to the home screen there. One of the other things, if you swipe down from the top, we have quite a few different options here to quickly access some of these different menus. So you have your sensors at the top, that GPS type, settings, change your profile. You can see your phone options here. But then as you scroll through these, you'll have a couple different controls here. So that power guide, course, virtual partner, some of my notifications from my dad and my brother there. Here's the weather screen. So this comes from your phone. So again, you need to be paired here. But you can see some of the weather and some of that wind data, which is pretty helpful on some of those days. Here is the option to get Strava segments. Again, subscriptions required. And you can go through and see some additional info online on how to be able to do that. Climb Pro, so these are exploring some of the local climbs in our area, the distances they are. So if you're looking for a good hill to do some repeats on, or just want to get some good vert in for your day, it's a good way to be able to select some of those. It's probably a little bit more exciting in a mountainous area than it is here in Kansas. Credit card, so we now have Garmin Pay in this device, and so you can add your card in, and you can go to some of those shops and use this to pay for some of your goods. And then back to the home screen here. Let's go ahead and talk about one of my favorite features on this is the GroupRide. I've recently started doing a lot of my rides with friends as a group ride, and it's really kind of elevated our riding experience. So we go ahead and select GroupRide there. And if you have a code from a pre-existing group ride, you can select that. It'll give you the option to enter a code, or we can go in and actually create a group ride. So to start off with creating a group ride, you can go in, select that plus, and then you can create a name. You can select the date, start time, and then this is where it gets pretty fun. You can add a course in here. So it'll load that course into the group ride. So what it does is allows you to see where your friends are at. You can message them real time from edge to edge. It is really cool. You can see the distance behind they are. So I was, for example, I was racing with my brother a couple weeks back, and I was closing a big gap to be able to get up to him in a lead group, and I was able to send him a message, and he was able to know that I was coming up, which changed some of the tactics on the day. There's incident detection is involved in this as well. So if somebody has a flat tire on your group ride or something like that, they can send a message out to the group, and people can know to stop, go back, help. Or the severity of that incident that was happening. So it is really amazing. It's really cool to see where people are at, especially if you have a pretty large group out there. If you're leading that group ride, you can see where the stragglers are and some of that tail end to maybe change the pace. You can see if people are keeping up with you, and you can send some of those messages really easily across just edge to edge. There's a bunch of preloaded messages, and then you also have the ability to type out your own message. Preloaded are probably the easiest. But yeah, again, you can go ahead and type a custom messages as you needed. You do need to be paired and a part of the group ride to make this all happen. So you do have to go through on the Garmin Connect mobile app and get this all paired up. So we went ahead, click Create Group Ride, give it a second here, it's gonna load. and then it's going to give you a code to be able to go ahead and create that group ride. You can send that over through your phone to the Edge, or you can go ahead and type in that code here. All right, now that our group ride is created, we're going to be able to go ahead here. We can see some of this. I started it for right now, so we can go ahead and start this. And the last thing I really want to talk about was the achievement piece of this. So it's really fun to see different competitors. So as you go through the ride, you can see some of the different climb pros that are in there and see who is basically winning on those climbs. You can see the fastest rider, some different achievements around that climb specifically. And then when the ride's over, we give out some awards to different riders, stuff like who had the highest average heart rate, maybe somebody showed up late for the ride, fastest cadence, best watts per kilo. There's a couple different awards that you can get in there. It's pretty fun to see in a larger group who's doing those different styles of riding. Here's the messaging tab too, so if you're interested to see what that looks like, here's some of those messages that you can send, or you can go down to the bottom here and you can type out a custom message. And one of those, if you send that, it'll pop up in this chat here, and then you can see the riders. There's no other active riders right now, so it's just gonna be me. If you did want to share this to somebody, that's the group ride code, and then it also gets sent over to your phone. There you go. So you can see live right now, group ride's happening. Again, we talked about some of those different swipeable widgets that can get added here. Group ride is one of those as well. So there you have it. That's the Edge 1050 Beyond the Basics, a full rundown of the unit, all the different specs, features, things that you would need to know to get out on your first ride. If you have any additional questions, throw them down in the comments below and get out riding.